Y'all heard of Snake River Canyon that Evel Knievel jumped over? Yeah, that's it right there. They took it on TV and blew it up. Made it look bigger, but that's it right there. Right here in Danville. They try to say it's in Colorado. Man, don't nobody believe that stuff. Out here walking in the rain. Well, I don't know, it might be raining still a little bit. It rained really hard a little while ago. So I'm out here now. It's really sloshy and wet. The creek is all muddy and everything. And I'm coming to my favorite hill. The old straight up and down thing. I guess this is like my video diary. If I ever get lazy again and quit exercising, I can look at this and go, wow, I was out there exercising at one point. Walking through these woods, eating spider's webs. I hope they're good for you. Seems like they would be. Probably a lot of fiber. Of course, being how it just rained, my shoes and socks are pretty much soaking wet. Main part to get you wet is when you come out of one trail and you got to go to the other, and you got to walk behind a baseball field in like 4 inches of thick grass. So there you go. My least favorite part. I like being down here on the trail. Walking in the open field, that's kind of boring. Especially when it's soaking wet. And I assume they're playing baseball or something tonight because I hear yeah. Looks like we got about 12 people out here tonight in this rain. I gotta find this scripture in the Bible. Me and my mom was talking about it earlier today. Of course, if you know a concept in the Bible, you don't necessarily need to pin down 25 scriptures for it. It's a biblical concept. But you know, this one guy who obviously came to Jesus for healing, and again, I'll have to look it up and find out which incident it was, but you know, Jesus asked him a very interesting question. Do you want to be healed? You know, pretty wild, huh? No, man, I'm good. I don't want to be healed. But Jesus didn't make a lot of small talk. He certainly didn't talk all aloof like us and just make a bunch of stupid comments that don't mean anything. He had a reason for asking that. And everything in the Bible is shown for us. We're going up this nasty hill again. Nasty old thing. But I mean, that's a question for all of us. No matter the circumstance, do you really want to get better? If you're unhealthy, therefore you're unhappy. You can't really be happy if you're unhealthy. And that would be physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. That'd be a good question for you. Do you want to get better? Or do you like your misery? Let's check this pulse right here. Speaking of misery, let's check my pulse. 157. Probably hit 160. But I'm walking, I'm not standing with my hand on my hip. I might be crazy, and I am breathing heavy. But you know, do you want to be better? All kind of people look unhappy. You know. You wonder, do they really want to get better? Because they're not putting forth any effort toward it. It's like, do you really think you're going to be that happy eating junk food all day long, and sitting in front of a TV 4, 5, 6 hours, on work nights, on your days off from work, sit in front of it all day, not exercising, not doing anything to make yourself better. No self-improvement at all. And you wonder why you're unhappy. Well, I can tell you, God didn't make you for that purpose. You're not built and designed to sit on the couch and watch TV. That would be a failure on your part. You're like a king's kid, supposedly, but you're living like a pauper or a prisoner or a slave. I've heard all this yada, yada, yada in my life about slavery this, slavery that. I don't mean nothing by it. It don't really touch me that much. Because all the people that complain about the most, they're slaves now. If I was them, I'd be mad about the slavery now. But it's all voluntary. That's even worse. Somebody's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents on back could have been slaves. Somehow or another they got set free. And now here people are descendants of those, and it's white people, black people, because slavery was all over the world long before a white man ever went to Africa. Slavery was old and established by then. But people now, they're slaves now, but it's voluntary. That's a voluntary slavery. You're a slave to yourself. Or, you choose to be a slave to other powers. But you choose it. You don't have to be it. And then, I don't know, people have excuses, I guess. But I don't know. I don't understand it. Again, going back to slavery. A lot of slaves were told, well, you're free. You can go free. A lot of them didn't budge. I mean, there you go. They say if you keep an animal in captivity long enough, you can take the bars away. Animal don't even try to get loose. He wouldn't know what to do being free. I guess maybe that's some of it. You don't know what to do besides sit and watch TV. What is that, like escapism? Don't know. I haven't had cable TV as an adult. So I'm 54, so however many years that is. I've had people at work, I casually tell them that. Oh yeah, I don't have TV. I don't watch TV. They just go blank. They're like, they can't conceive of it. What do you do? And I'm like, you mean your whole life is a TV? That's your life? Wow, you're just kind of well, I can't say that. I won't say that on camera. It's not that impressive if your whole life consists of watching TV and eating ding-dongs and ho-hos and stuff. I'm not impressed. Better off to eat spider webs like me. Even though I got this stick in front of my face. It don't work. But I mean, that's the question I'll leave y'all with tonight. Do you want to get better? I'm gonna tell you, that applies so much to people sitting in organized churches. Organized churches are a strange breed. Everybody in the church, the so-called church, I know it's not a church building. I know we say we know that, but we don't know that. You can't really go to church. You are the church. So even I have to use the terminology that people know. Did you go to church on Sunday? You can't really go to church. You are the church. That's like saying, did you go to yourself? But, using y'all's terminology. People sit in church, they all admit, if you catch them just right, yeah, the church is kind of dead, ain't much happening. Oh, really? When's the last time something happened there? Oh, God had a mighty move in 1972. Really? I bet I've had 10 friends commit suicide since 1972. And then you come along your path and you run into something like this. Path is unpassable. So you gotta go some other way. And probably all of you botanists will tell me I'm walking through every poison ivy and poison oak known to man, but that's okay. Don't confront me now. But people sit in the church and they admit it's dead. I'm like, well, how long has it been dead for? You know, well, and then they have kids, those kids have kids, and those grandkids grow up, and they're still sitting in the same dead church. And I'm like, nah, just shoot me and get it over with, because I don't get that. There's nothing in me that can possibly understand that. And then if you were to say something to the pastor, he'd say, well, I'm preaching the word, they're just not responding. And then the people will like blame the pastor or something. You know, again, I can't say what I think on camera. I'm not going to commit it to video, but you can guess. It's utter foolishness. I refuse to take part in any kind of nonsense like that. Like, I don't know, so what are you waiting for to make a move? You know, why don't you vote with your feet? Why don't you go elsewhere? Why don't you start a home church? Let's talk about that for a split second. People read, I talked about this the other day. You read the Bible, you come to it with your own ideas. And most of it ain't based in truth because you don't know any history or anything. What year was the first Christian church building built? Roundabout. Well, let's preface that. Before we answer that, when was the Bible, when was the New Testament finished up, the writing of it? Again, I don't know the exact date. The so-called scholars, you know, they say maybe the book of Revelation was written around 85 AD. Somewhere in that ballpark, give or take some years. Okay, that's fine. So, you're sitting in your dead church with your little brick walls, your steeple. You know what a steeple is, don't you? Yeah, it's a little bit of a phallic symbol, but I know some of y'all get uncomfortable with that truth, but that's okay. You're sitting in your church, and so when you read the Bible about this kind of ministry and that kind, you try to make it fit into what y'all do in them little four walls, you and your 13 people. So you read the Bible and you try to squeeze all that New Testament stuff into your little organized once a week on Sunday thing with your little paid staff and all that. The first Christian church buildings weren't built until around 325 AD. So I know I'll have to spell out what that means. Here we go again. Trail? What trail? Got trees fall all over the trail. Of course, that goes with our lesson today. You can't follow man's pre-made trail sometimes. Gotta be willing to detour off when those trails come to a dead end. They're dead ends to start with, but you gotta be ready to detour. So the first church buildings weren't built till 325 AD. And I wasn't there, but they say Constantine's wife was the first one to talk to her husband into building a church building because they just couldn't kill the Christians out. They couldn't kill them all. They're like cockroaches, and you try to kill them, pop up more and more. So they switched tactics, and Constantine decided to say, hey, I know what we'll do. I mean, these Christians are kind of useful people. We can use them, you know, we'll call them the state religion. And then what they did was they just took all the pagan stuff, all the pagan holidays, and all the foreign gods, the pagan gods they used to worship, and they brought them and blended them into Christianity. So there's the beginning of your organized church. So anything you read in the Bible, you're reading about home meetings. I'm talking about the New Testament. There weren't no church buildings sitting on a corner with 4 brick walls and a steeple. It's not history. That's not The Bible was finished up 200 years before there were any church buildings. And again, the church building started as a compromise. You know, just like now. I mean, I'll tell you a fact. The devil will build you all the church buildings you want. You know? Man, you go out there and break ground on a new church, man, devil right there with you. Shoveling just as hard as he can. That don't bother him. It is interesting, though. Of course, I know a lot of y'all are mad, and you know, some of y'all, sad to say, some of you won't even get mad. That's really pitiful. You go, yep, we know. We know all that. We've heard all that. We know that. That's even worse. That's the deepest form of slavery. Hey, I know I'm a slave, but I don't care. You wonder why God can't move. I mean, some of you so dead, even the devil can't move. The devil's like, geez, man, these people. The devil will build you all kind of church buildings. Finance them for you, the whole thing, and he'll be right there. You're already on his ground when you step into that little pastor-dominated thing that's nowhere in the New Testament. I mean, Paul wasn't a pastor. Paul's out and about, moving around. Hard to say what a pastor is according to the Bible. Y'all know how many times the word pastor is in the New Testament? Y'all can figure that one out. For me, I say 0, but we'll give you 1 hyphenated form. On that 1 mention, the whole ministry is raised up. Every other thing is shut down. Good luck letting a prophet come in and say a word. What's that? We don't know what a prophet is. Yeah, exactly. That's like saying, well, I don't know what a liver is. I don't know what a kidney is. I don't know what it is, so therefore we don't need it. Heck with it. But I do got to mention this. You're mad at me because I tell you the truth. Have I become your enemy because I've told you the truth? But during this all fake bunch of COVID nonsense, lockdown stuff, God's trying to show you about your little organized churches, because Big Daddy government flipped a switch and shut y'all down, didn't he? And like obedient little female dogs, y'all just shut it down. You read all in the Bible about people that died for the cause and all that, but y'all just shut it down nice and obediently. And you quoted Hitler's favorite verse, you know, like Romans 13 and stuff, Romans 13, taking it way out of context. And then you started, oh boy, car church. Here we go. Oh deer, I just chased a deer out. The deer's over there in left field. Car church. And they say, I'm forsaking the assembly. You're assembling, but it ain't for God. You're just assembling for whatever. I don't know, soothe your conscience or something or other. Well, that's our walk, 2.23 miles. Stopped and filmed a bunch of turtles. Got my shoes soaking wet. But that's our exercise for the day. Thank y'all.